What gets me so excited about this blockchain technology is that we have this digital data that is now becoming a string that creates the story so that the end consumer has this story from start to finish of a piece.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews here, Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish Thrive Academy, and also the host of the show today. I am super excited to be here with some very special guests. As I was recording this show, I'm here in Chicago. I'm actually recording this intro and outro in my hotel room because I wanted to get this to your earbuds as soon as possible because I just had a blast at the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference. If you follow us over on Facebook or you're following Ethical Metalsmiths or Susan Wheeler's Chicago Responsibility Jewelry Conference Facebook page, you probably saw some behind the scenes, or if you're also following us on Instagram, I should say, you might have seen some behind the scenes of the conference, but I wanted to have some really intimate conversations, just short, quick conversations with some people who are really making a difference and a big change in the jewelry industry these days. So I have some very special guests on the show today. I have Mark Hanna, who's the CMO of the Richline Group. I have Jennifer Dawes, designer extraordinaire, and I have Christina Villegas of Pact, talking all about responsible sourcing, what you can do about it, this thing called blockchain, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with blockchain, we're going to be talking a little bit more about it, and also talking about the impact that responsible sourcing and mining and what Pact's doing to help improve the conditions for children working at the mine site, and more on that. So it's not totally what you think. And so I learned a lot about this and I really wanted to bring it to you today. So I'm very, very excited about today's episode. You're going to hear some interesting commentary on how the leaders in the jewelry industry these days, the people who are in this space of working towards transparency and where the gems are coming from so that we can feel good about what we're actually using in our jewelry to, bring to the end consumer, and also to educate the end consumer on what is actually going on so that we can create the story around their pieces too. So this is a really interesting conversation. Before I dive in, I would love to take a word from our sponsor. Our sponsor for the show today is findingbox.com. We love Finding Box. They specialize in custom engraved, logoed hang tags, beads, and custom jewelry pouches. They work with small independent jewelry brands all the time. In fact, they love working with small business, and they've worked with over 2,000 already, and hopefully more after this because we love supporting small businesses that support small business over here at Flourish and Thrive. The cool thing about Finding Box, when you order hang tags or logoed beads or pouches from them, is sometimes they can have really fast lead times, like 24 hours. You place the order, they're shipping 24 hours later. Awesome, right? You also don't have to order a ton of things. You can get a really small order minimum, and they do free design revisions and also provide you with the sample. So it's a really great resource for you to have in your Rolodex for options for hang tags and logoed products. We would love to share with you a really special offer that findingbox.com has going on. They're offering the Flourish and Thrive Academy listeners and the Thrive by Design listeners 10% off their first order. You just have to order by January 31st, 2019. You can head on over to findingbox.com, place your order, and use the discount code F&T podcast. That's F&T podcast. And make sure that you're using all caps and enjoy 10% off your first order. All right, let's dive into today's episode. So I did a dual interview to start out with. And the first interview is with Mark Hanna, the CMO of Richline Group. Mark has been in the jewelry space for over 45 years. He graduated from NYU Stern and got an MBA in marketing and began his 46-year career in the jewelry industry. He is making some really big changes, as you're going to hear. He has experienced all facets of management, manufacturing, marketing, and sales, and compliance. And prior to being the CMO of Richline Group, he served as the EVP of sales and marketing for both Bell Oro International and Michael Anthony Jewelers. And he was also the president of Leach & Gardner International. And in 2012, he was honored as one of the US's top 200 CMOs, and again in 2015 as CMO of the Year at Corporate Social Responsibility by the CMO Club. Mark is also involved in a host of responsible issues, including the UL Responsible Summit, GIS Team Leader, FGATA, Ethical Metalsmiths, Pure Earth, and Mercury-Free Mining Advisory Boards. He is one of those people where we're just like, could someone be so awesome? And he's quite awesome in person too, as you're going to see. You're going to love him. He's just so much more. He's a hockey coach and really just all around good guy. And then I got my friend Jennifer Dawes helping me out with the interview today. Her conversation with Mark while we were at the conference really inspired me to do this interview with both of them. Some of the best stuff happened actually after the podcast, but regardless, you're going to get a lot. Jennifer launched her collection, Jennifer Dawes Designs, in 2000 and has since evolved to become one of the main proponents of sustainable, responsible jewelry while also creating pieces that are magical to wear. She is really committed to creating a story with her pieces. Each piece combines her love of ancient civilizations with what's happening right now in culture and design. And her work is handmade, fabricated, and finished at her studio in rural Sonoma County, California. So let's dive into this part of the episode. I have some very special guests. We're here at the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference. And I have Mark Hanna here and Jennifer Dawes. And I'm so excited to have both of you on the Thrive by Design podcast today. So thanks for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's going to be fun. Okay, so Mark, you did an amazing keynote this morning, and I thought it would be really valuable to our audience to talk about supply chain and where things actually really come from. And so Jennifer and I are going to kind of lead the conversation. She's going to ask some really awesome questions. And I'm going to have you start by explaining what blockchain is, because that's sort of how you kind of started the discussion of what you're doing over at the Richline Group to kind of show where things are coming from all the way through the supply chain.
Well, for us, blockchain is about provenance, and which is about chain of custody. And we've really been into chain of custody and documenting it for more than a decade. We had another process called string, which basically was us taking every single piece of paper every way along the way, inputting it, and creating a visual version of where did that come from. And we started that in 2006. Along comes blockchain about 3 years ago, and it's really string on steroids. And the most important thing about blockchain is that you have to picture that every node, which means every handshake, which means every time goods are passed from one person to another, there's a contract, and that contract is documented with data against every part of what was agreed on in that contract, including, importantly, social responsibility. Move that all the way through the chain. Now it's no longer just us with blockchain that's putting that information in, so trust us or don't. Every single member of that chain, they did their own input. The handshake person verified their input, and everyone at the end of that chain, whether it's 2 people, 8 people, or 80 people, have access to the entire data. So it can't be changed. It's going to be indelible. It's going to be a better be right. It's going to be a verified truth, really, because all the way down the line it's being verified. So it's given everyone a new tool, and that tool then becomes, it's really data, quick data. Very visual, very quick, very transparent data. And this question going forward, how much transparent data do we make available all the way to anyone, including the consumer? But it's really something that's changed the world of procurement. It's changed the world of, as I mentioned earlier today, food. If you look at food and you look at the ability now to know what plot of land an avocado came out of in about 20 seconds.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how do you make sure that all the places along the way are actually like entering the data into the blockchain? I think
it's always going to be a garbage in, garbage out question. And you know, we've done a pilot. So don't hold me to the future here, but the pilot we had UL Underwriter Labs at every single step. So when the gold came out of the ground in the mine in South Dakota, they sealed it. When that gold was received at the refinery in Salt Lake City, they opened it. When that gold was made into a bar of fine gold, they sealed it. When that gold was received at our leach garner facility to make casting grain, they unsealed it, and so forth. So we made sure this was pristine this first time through. And is that scalable? I don't think so. It would be very costly. But we're going to learn how we can ensure against what your question was. How do we make sure it's not garbage in, garbage out, or there's just something not correct about that data that gets perpetuated further down?
So the first time you do this chain of custody, you have a company that is there at each place of contact actually doing it. So now that that is done, how do you move that forward without the cost? Because that must be so expensive.
Yeah, it is. And the second step really is going to be desktop review of the same information, which is going to be oversight without people physically sealing bags and unsealing bags. We're going to try to take the same process that they did and have them not have to be physically present to do it. And we're going to see if we feel secure in the information, or maybe someplace in between, depending on the risk of a particular situation. The biggest risk really is that the raw gold at the refinery is the same gold that we've been talking about, that came from the same source that we're going to claim it came from. After that, it's pretty standard procedures, and we can feel pretty good about it. But that one's crucial. Same thing with the diamonds. Same thing with the diamonds.
So the way that I'm visualizing this is that we would essentially have an app that we would download on our phones, right? So I would get casting grain into my studio. I would document that, put in that blockchain connection that it came into my studio. I would cast something out of it, finish it, and then I would, again, put that finished piece into this app. And so at the end of the line, I would have a finished piece of jewelry with this entire story that would go with it.
Right. The only thing I'd add to that is when you do that, you're also attesting to this is the gold that you got in being used in the piece that you made it into.
Right.
And we're accepting the self-assessment, self-testing, because we
Right.
believe from the beginning we can kind of sort people out by know your counterparty and know who you're dealing with, and that we're dealing with good ethical people all the way up and down.
Well, that's what Ethical Metalsmiths is doing right now too, is
Absolutely.
doing self-assessments for our community so that,
You guys are actually doing what the blockchain is doing without the documentation, without the data,
technology.
without the tape. So I think we're aiming at creating a transparency to the consumer. I mean, you can do that now one-to-one across the counter. And at our level, we're a B2B company, and we've got to be able to carry forward what we've done good all the way through
Gooder.
a retailer gooder.
Gooder.
I'm still getting beat up about that. And we need that carried through by salespeople at retailers we sell to, and we need that carried through in ways that they feel they are absolutely have the right information to tell the truth, and the consumer gets it.
This is where I get super excited about your whole presentation you did this morning, because to me, this is what I've been trying to do for the last 12 years when I started getting into this. And the way that I've kind of tried to do it is through story, is to have a story behind each piece so that I can tell the end consumer exactly where it's come from. I can tell them about, a world-renowned diamond cutter. I can tell them about Anza Gems, who, that's an incredible story within itself. So what gets me so excited about this blockchain technology is that we have this digital data that is now becoming a string, if you will, that creates the story so that the end consumer has this story from start to finish of a piece. And I think that information is so valuable. That's what my consumers want from me. That's why they come to me. And so, the whole B2B thing I think is also interesting, because it's essential that if I get a mounting from Richline, that has that story, and then I can finish that story or something.
We kind of look at it as the blockchain, the system is the music, and you write the words to match the music, and then you get both.
Yeah. And I think the story is what's like in my realm, me and Mark do very different things.
Very different.
I adore him though. But for me, I think that, for the future of designer jewelry and this industry, not so much the manufacturing, I don't have the knowledge for that. But I think for designer jewelry and the industry, just it's so important to have that story. It's so important for that end consumer to know. That's where the value of these heirlooms is about, is part of the story of like how this piece was created. Where did it come from?
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, and hopefully along the way it becomes easier for you because there's an established pool of findings, verified findings people, verified wire people, verified that they're already been doing this on the blockchain. They've already been verified, and you can go to that pool, and you only got 1 or 2 steps between that and the consumer for yourself.
Well, that is the biggest challenge for being a designer in this space, is it's all handshake right now. You know,
I think I saw a slide like that this morning.
I wonder where that came from. So yeah, it is all about your relationships. And, you know, quite honestly, there aren't that many relationships that I've been able to develop that I really, truly trust. And so this, I think, is an opportunity to have that deepen in the industry.
We have a division, Rio Grande, that we feel is a reasonably well-trusted division, but still, we're going to really work hard to make sure that they're able to step up what they can show to you, represent to you, and you can, kind of take to the bank that it's done, it's real, it's documented if I need it.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes that Rio's making?
Really the database, really the ability to have a database on any product that you go on their site to look at, that what do you want to know about it? And we'll be able to take it back to what country it came from.
Wow.
We'll be able to track it back to
That's impressive.
where was the casting grain made, where was the wire made. You'll be able, if you want to know that, you'll be able to dig it very quickly because it's all going to be blockchain documented.
Because you guys also have a program with your gemstones too, there, where they're American Mine, don't you have a program?
Yeah, that's
like
the new
that?
American Mine program.
Right.
And we'll have the same thing. We've added now American Mine medals to that.
Oh, right on.
Right,
That's
so-
so
Amazing.
cool. Awesome.
And by the way, we're documenting that entire program on blockchain. We just started.
So, okay, this is another podcast for another time, but we're going to talk about American Made because,
Yeah, let's do it.
Mark is
Yeah, no,
pioneering
it's
it.
very important. I was just with
two.
Arian Gessner. That's who I was just with when I left to go with you guys. This is his baby, and we're working on it pretty hard. So
That's
we believe in it.
awesome.
I'm trying to get him on the show again.
Yeah, not to
He
mention the
said
fact
he's
that
behind the scenes. He doesn't want to.
yeah.
Oh, we'll pull him out.
Although I actually have a totally separate topic. Made a lot of progress with the FTC and the Made in USA laws.
Okay, awesome.
It's just a separate soapbox of mine.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have another podcast.
We'll
about
schedule
Made in
that.
America. So I wanted to ask you a question about your story thing too, because obviously at Flourish and Thrive we always talk about designer story, and the story of where the materials are coming from is an important part of that story. Are you going to be doing anything to maybe like sign your pieces in a certain way so that they're identifiable like down the line, or?
Well, that's what I mean, my brain was going crazy when Mark was talking this morning because, yes, I think ultimately that's my end game, to create a piece that has a complete story behind it and almost present it as, as a piece of artwork, that it has this storied history, in where the materials are coming from, but it also has this, is it a custom piece? Is it a future heirloom? Am I making this for someone for a particular reason? All of those things. So yeah, I think ultimately that's where the blockchain technology gets really exciting because, it's one thing to, have your own business and there's a zillion details that have to be attended to. And the story part is so verbal because that's the last thing that I can actually get to at the end of the line of actually making a piece. So if there was something where, there's this blockchain data that could easily be put into a story, that's a huge potential. It's a huge potential for our industry, I think, in
It's
general.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. This is so such a great conversation. Do you have any more questions for Mark before we sign off? There's one I wanted to talk about. You talked about the blockchains actually talking together. What's the solution for that?
An API, which means basically something that integrates all the different languages, and it's basically a translator. It
Okay.
takes Jen speaking French to me and you speaking Italian to me, and me hearing exactly what you're both saying all at the same time.
And what's the possibility of that happening?
It'll happen.
Okay.
There's a big race technologically
happen.
to
Okay.
see who
I
can
can
get there.
actually talk to that, strangely enough. I went to a conference last week, and it's called The What, and it's a women's entrepreneurial group. And one of the presentations I went to go see was the woman who started Wired magazine. And
awesome.
on that panel, she had a woman who is a scientist, and she's on the cutting edge of DNA sequencing, a woman doing AI, and another woman doing blockchain. So the woman who was talking about blockchain was discussing about there's the whole dark web part of blockchain that's really a problem. And that is their number one piece that they are working on now. And part of that is the API and really getting all of these different blockchains to start communicating with one another so that they can really create a system that is not underground anymore, and something that you can really take the data and know where it's coming from, and instead of having it be black market type information.
Because that's what most people think of blockchain when you talk about it, is that it's
very
wrapped up in
mysterious.
crypto.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go right to Bitcoin and that type of stuff. And really, that's okay, go there. But blockchain is the foundation of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There would be no Bitcoin if there
Without
wasn't
the
a blockchain.
Okay. Wow, this was awesome. This was such a fun interview. Thanks for being here and for ditching cocktail hour for a little bit so we can talk about this.
I'm drinking my beer right now.
I know. Cheers, you guys. We should toast on camera. Thank you for being here.
Click with the Cabernet.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
The second part of this interview is with Christina Villegas. She is the artisanal mining and sourcing expert, or the director of mining at Pact. And Christina, I actually met Christina last year for the first time. We had a really great dinner conversation. So it was wonderful to see her again this year. And I interviewed her a little bit more about blockchain to find out how Pact's using it. And then our conversation took a little bit of a turn when we started talking about child labor and what Pact is doing about that. Because the story is slightly different when you look at it from the indigenous people who are working at these mines' perspective. So I hope that you learn a lot from this. And here's a little bit more about Christina. She's a mining and rural development specialist focused on responsible mining and sourcing. She works with scales and types of mineral producers, from industrial mining companies to artisanal and small-scale miners. She specializes in ethical sourcing, risk management, and artisanal mining supply chains, improving the social performance of mining companies, and ASM, LSM coexistence, rural development strategies, ASM market development, mineral sector governance, political economy analysis, gender and mining, and reducing child labor in the mines. And so she works with all mineral supply chains. She has expertise in conflict minerals like tin, titanium, tungsten, and gold, and colored gemstones. And she has a particular expertise in minerals development in fragile, conflict, and post-conflict economies. She is really amazing. You are going to learn a lot from this interview with Christina. So let's dive right in. So I'm here with Christina Villegas of Pact, and I'm very excited to have Christina here because she's going to tell us a little bit more about what Pact is and also what they're doing for supply chain and sustainable and fair trade mining. Christina, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about Pact and what it actually is.
Yeah, Pact is a very large social development nonprofit organization. We have offices in 40 countries around the world. We've been around for 45 years, and we focus on health, livelihoods, and natural resources management. In that last cone sits the mining team, and we specialize in artisanal and small-scale mining, which is responsible for about 80% of all colored stones is mined by artisanal and small-scale miners, and up to a quarter of all gold in the world is mined by artisanal and small-scale miners. So we work with this population because they're the most vulnerable, the most remote, and have the fewest resources.
Okay, awesome. So what are you doing to sort of track the supply chain for sustainable and fair trade mining?
Well, we operate the world's largest conflict-free assurance program in Congo. We work with 80,000 artisanal and small-scale miners in 4 countries.
That is crazy.
Yeah, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. So we assure 90% of all Central African tin, tantalum, and tungsten. And then we also work on gemstones. We're working on a new blockchain project in collaboration with Anza Gems and 1948.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit more about that project and what you're doing there.
Yeah, sure. And I should mention Everledger is a blockchain provider, and they're donating everything for free, which is amazing. Yeah, so we're collaborating with ANZA 1948 to trace gemstones, so green tourmalines, garnets, sapphires, through the supply chain from. So they're female miners who are mining this stuff, and they're in this remote part of Tanzania called Tanga, and Pact will be helping the ladies meet a certain ethical standard, and then 1948 and ANZA will purchase from the ladies, and it'll be traced to Arusha and then on to the UK and the US to go into different design pieces, and then the story of the female miner who mined it and her mine plan and the community around it and pictures and videos will be uploaded to the blockchain. So in the future, consumers can actually virtually meet the woman at the beginning of supply chain, and she'll be connected to the woman at the end of supply chain.
I love this idea, and I think it's so cool. Are the stones being tracked anyway? Like, they're being tracked from mine to consumer, but how are they? I mean, I know it's the blockchain, and I know that. Is there like some sort of like laser engraving, or like how is that done? Like, because someone could maybe lie still at some point.
Totally. We have these market days every few months, and we text all the ladies. So they sign up, they agree to certain rules, and we text them when market day is, and so they'll bring their stones to market day. They don't have to buy from us, but if they want to, they don't have to sell to us. But if they want to, they can. If everyone raises their prices, that's terrific, because that means that that's how change and incomes are made. So they'll sell to us. We'll bag it and we'll tag it, and then that bag of rocks gets shipped to Arusha, where it might be cut, but it would be cut under video. So there's different stages of supply chain. So after it's cut, then it'll be shipped to, again, UK or the US, Seattle or London, and then you'll be able to see it placed in the jewelry, and everything's very airtight. So blockchain is another traceability opportunity, and you'll learn. It's not just a geotag; it's like rich development data. You can see how her life has changed by your purchase.
That's awesome. So besides the miners potentially are raising prices so that they get paid more, what else is Pact doing to help support the mining communities?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's really exciting because we're helping the ladies mine more, figure out where to mine. So do some prospecting skills, look for indicator stones, things like that. Mine better. So they mine more stones and use various like explosives better, for example, safer, and not actually destroy the deposit of gemstones. And then we're going to buy all their stones. So not just this one and this one and this one, buying the high quality stones, the medium quality stones, and the bead quality stones. So they're selling more, they're finding more, they're selling more, they're selling at a better price, and we're also saving their life because we're working on health and safety and basic everyday working conditions, which they're toiling in the earth right now, and it's such a hard job. So, so this program, I think, can, be impactful in myriad ways. Both, again, their income, but also they're saving their life.
Exactly. Wow, that's so powerful. So you mentioned 1948, ANZA, and then you mentioned someone else.
Oh, we're looking for a beads provider. So beads, so if you sell beads and you want to be a part of the program, feel free to get in touch.
Ooh, that's amazing. That is so amazing, because everyone's always asking like for fair trade, sustainably sourced beads, and this would be epic. We all need to reach out to our bead suppliers and ask them to get involved with Christina and Pact, put the pressure on.
Yes.
Are there any other things that you're doing to help, spread the news about this sustainability movement?
We're expanding our partnership with GIA. So in this last couple of years, we've been working to educate miners on what they have, the value of their stones, how to pre-sort by value, and we're expanding that partnership. So it started in Tanga, Tanzania, and then it expanded to Tunduru, Songea, and Matombo, which are all important ruby and sapphire areas. And then we're expanding to other countries. And GIA will be able to announce where those are. They're my clients, so I can't.
You cannot really
yes,
reveal.
Exactly. We've discussed it, but it'll be elsewhere in Africa. So watch that space.
Okay, awesome. So you're doing great things in Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and in Southern Africa. Just in Africa only.
I know we work in Latin America as well. We work in coal and gold in Colombia, and we work in gold in Myanmar, Burma, and we work in tin in Indonesia.
Okay, that's so great. You said some of that before, but great. So where can people find out more information about Pact and all the things that you're doing?
You go to pactworld.org/mining, and you can see our mining program, or if you just want to learn about the organization and a lot of the microfinance programs we do, or health, child nutrition, you can just peruse our website, pactworld.org.
Let's talk a little bit about the child programs that you have.
Yes.
Okay.
So we operate. PACT has a few core values, and child protection is one of them. So we are working with Boeing, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Qualcomm, and DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, to reduce child labor on mining sites there. So we're working in tin, tantalum, tungsten, cobalt, and copper. And we're also working in child labor reduction in Colombia on gold sites, and then Tanzania on gold sites as well. And we've learned a lot about child labor, and I can go into the details if you'd like.
Sure.
We tend to find 3 types of children working on a mine site. The first is the biggest group. They're the most common. They tend to be children mining with their mothers or their fathers, working in a family unit. Somebody's looking out for their safety, and they don't have the most dangerous tasks, but it can be a slippery slope. They can become expert canners. You want to imagine how many 3-year-olds I've seen who are expert canners. Honestly.
Really? Wow.
They school
3-year-olds. That's crazy.
They school me on how to mine, by the way. But the problem is when they're such good miners that they don't go to school, because they're helping the family income. So the second group of kids that we tend to see is the most vulnerable, to be honest. Luckily, it's the smallest group, but it's children mining alone, or mining with a third-party outfit. This is with a distant cousin, or they're true orphans, and no one's really looking out for their safety, and they get the most dangerous jobs. And also, it becomes gendered very quickly, to be quite honest. So the boys get the most dangerous work, and the girls get pressured into sex work.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
So luckily it's the smallest group, but it's one of those realities. And then the third group are teenagers. So under 18, you're considered a child by international law.
Yes.
But if you ask a 16-year-old with 2 kids on her back, whether she's a child,
gosh.
she'll be like, "What are you talking about? I'm a mom. Yeah, you're gonna tell me I'm a child laborer."
Yeah.
So I mention all these groups because just to underscore that there's different approaches for each one. So teenagers, it's more like vocational skills, life choices.
Yes.
Moving them off to less hazard jobs, and they might become miners eventually, but we don't want them to be mining miners, right?
Yes.
And then with the largest group, those mining with the mothers and the fathers, more about parental engagement, about teaching the value of education, about just working on basic economics, realizing that where money's going, and also other occupations that actually might be more lucrative. And so in Congo, we're finding that women and their children are moving together to less hazardous work. There's this whole hierarchy of child labor. People don't recognize this. There's child work, which is benign, somebody kind of helping on the side. There's hazardous child labor, which is more dangerous work, as the name suggests. And then there's worse forms, and mining is a worse form. So, you want to transition families where they want to. You don't tell anybody what to do, but have a conversation. So we're finding a lot of success in Congo. And for example, we eliminated child labor by 90% in less than 2 years.
Just from education?
Yes.
That is incredible.
Yeah, and we've had ex-child laborers go out and recruit others and help them get off mine sites. And we've had children who've gone to our programs, sold the Coca-Colas, and then bought chickens and started chicken farming.
Oh my gosh.
And there's also some kids that, again, sold the candy that we gave, and they bought radio parks and started a radio program. Honestly,
wow,
yeah,
that's so great.
My clients, Qualcomm, they're like, they need jobs.
They're really creative.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
They can create a radio station in the middle of Congo.
That's pretty awesome.
So this work is really hard, right? There's we're working in eastern Congo, which has very few roads. It's forested. It's deep in the heart of Africa. Literacy levels can be really low, but when you talk about getting children off sites, people understand that. They care about people's future. So that's one of the examples of projects we do. And like I said, we do it in Colombia and Tanzania as well. We can expand, if people want to support us.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do, because this is so important and so powerful. And thanks for taking your time to do this interview with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 175. We have great resources over at our show notes. So you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/episode 175. You can read a little bit more about Christina, Mark, and Jennifer, get links to where you can find them. Go say hello. Tell them that you saw us on Thrive by Design. And we'll also have links over there to our sponsor, Finding Box. So make sure that you check them out and grab your discount off your first order, which is always in order, right? And also, I would love, if you enjoyed this topic today, I would love to hear from you. So give us a little rating and review. Tell us what you thought. And if you know someone else who would benefit from hearing this conversation, learning a little bit more about supply chain and how jewelry is being ethically sourced, and what is being done about it from these bigger organizations, I would love for you to share this episode with your friends in the jewelry industry. This is how the word gets out to make change. We must all work together to be the change that we want to see. As Gandhi says, you got to live, practice, work, breathe, do all those things. So show up. Next year, make a date in your calendar to come to the conference in October, Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference. It is an amazing conversation, and I've been 2 years in a row. Every year it gets a little bit better, or gets a lot better. Last year was amazing, but this year was phenomenal. So I expect it to continue to get better. And please support the cause, because this is really important. If you don't know about Ethical Metalsmiths, please go find them. They are a really great organization that is dedicated to responsible sourcing. They are in the process of a rebrand at the time this podcast is going live. So definitely get them on your radar, because they're going to be really important down the road to helping you to being the go-to resource for the responsible jewelry initiative, maybe is the best way to put it. All right, this is Tracy Matthews signing off. Until next time, thanks so much for listening. Share this with your friends, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.